We are joined today by a special guest with NASA Globe program, Dr. Becky Boger, who's going to lead us through what I think is going to be a phenomenal workshop. As a reminder, if you are hoping to join one of the connection sessions, there's a link in the chat you can follow to the connection session. If you're going to be staying for today in the Globe session, you're going to stay on this link right here. With no further ado, Dr. Boger, I'll pass to you. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, and it's a great pleasure to be here. So I'm going to start off with a presentation, and so I'm going to share my presentation, and then we'll move forward and have a discussion and hands-on experience with the Globe materials. So let me share my screen. Wait, hold on here for a sec. Why did I do that? Get everything set up, and then here we go. Get up here. Just a sec there. There we go. So great. So thumbs up. Can you see my okay. Thank you so much. Okay. So again, as it's wonderful to be here and talking to you all, and I'm sure it's been exciting um, what you've been doing this week or the past few days. Okay. What is going on here? There we go. Just trying to get now I'm in full screen mode.
It's a little small because we can see your presenter notes on the side.
Okay, so let me see. Why is it doing that? Let me get out of here. Make sure that it is. Why is it doing? I'll just make it screen. That'll be good. Is that good?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay. So what am I going? I'm hoping that we will cover, and what you'll get out of this is some hands-on experience with the Globe Observer app. It will be installed on your mobile device if it's not already, and learn some of the basics of how to use the app and hopefully get you going so that you can go out and collect data and make observations. Know what the 2024 NASA Space App Challenge was for the Globe program. We had one. And also thinking now, as you learn more about Globe, maybe you have suggestions for what might be good for the next SpaceX challenge, that if we want to provide an opportunity for the community, the worldwide community, to do another challenge. So we're looking for themes. We haven't decided yet. Learn about Globe, more generally what it is, and I understand that there have been other presenters during this Genius collective session, and I hope to fill in some of the gaps maybe that they may not have covered. Practice navigating and using the Globe website, and getting practice to know how to visualize, search, download data from the Globe database. We have over 260 million data observations in the database, and this is public and anyone can go and use the data. And on so these are my objectives for you, but my personal objective is to make you excited about Globe and I want to learn more. Press this. Okay, so if you have not already done so, while I'm going through some of the background material, introducing you to Globe, introducing you to the Globe Observer, and if you don't, I'll distinguish between what Globe is and the Globe Observer. Take your handheld device now that you have and go to and download and install the Globe Observer, Go, as we call it, app. And it's available on Android and Apple devices through the Google Play and through the Apple Store. So I'm going to give you a moment so that we don't have two things going on. If you can go and navigate and install that, we'll come back to the Go app later on, but it would be great if you had it installed already so that you can have the hands-on experience during this session. Okay. As well, if you are on a computer and you're watching me here, you can also open up on your desktop or mobile or a laptop device, the Globe website, because we'll come back to that as well. And so just learn more about these two, Globe Observer and the Globe website. Okay. And also, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat and I will try to keep atop of that and answer the questions as well. Okay. So last year for the 2024 NASA Space App Challenge, we put one in for the Globe program. And what we had was the theme was Globe Protocol Games. It was great. And we had over 40 submissions from different teams from around the world who put in their ideas and their projects for the NASA Space App Challenge for last year. And we're delighted, although we didn't have the winner, one of the team were high school students that submitted, and they got into the global finalist round. So we're hoping that maybe next year with one that we even get the global winner. But we were really excited and to see all of the enthusiasm and the great ideas that the teams presented for 2024. And now we want your suggestions for the 2025 idea for Globe. And if you have some, please share in the chat, as well as you can always, at the end, I'll give you my email address. You can send them to me, or you can, through the Globe program, you'll be able to send some. So thank you in advance for that. Oops, okay. So first I'm going to give you an overview of Globe and the vast resources that we have available through Globe for you to use and others in your communities. So we are approaching our 30th anniversary. It was launched in 1995 Earth Day, and it is an international science and inquiry-based education program. So fundamental to the idea of Globe, and in its early stages, it focused on students in classrooms. We are to engage students in science through participation in these scientific activities. This has grown, particularly over the past nearly 10 years, in terms of expanding to people of all ages, as we say, from K to gray, kindergarten to gray. And this has opened up a lot of opportunities for different citizen scientists through the Globe Observer. And the Globe Observer is the one that's an app-based that you install on your mobile devices. We've received many awards over the years, and in 2021, the American Geophysical Union Award for its excellence in Earth and space science education. It is a NASA program, proudly a NASA program. It is also co-sponsored from different U.S. federal agencies and through NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, National Science Foundation, and the Department of State. And here on the screen is the mission and vision of Globe, and to increase awareness of individuals throughout the world about the global environment, contribute to increased scientific understanding of the Earth, and support improved student achievement in science and mathematics. And what we have and want to continue creating is a worldwide community of students, teachers, scientists, and citizens working together to better understand, sustain, and improve Earth's environment at local, regional, and global scales. Here, do that. So just some quick facts about Globe. We're in 127 countries. To become a Globe partner country, there is a bilateral agreement that needs to be established between the U.S. government and the other country joining the Globe program. There are over 41,000 schools or other informal education organizations that participate in the program. We have over 50,000 educators, nearly 300,000 Globe Observer, and that's the citizen science arm of the program. And we have in our Globe database over 260 million measurements. And these data observations are open to the public, available on the Globe website for anyone to use. So this is just showing where the reach of the Globe program around the world, broken into different regions, Africa, Asia and Pacific, Europe and Eurasia, Latin America and Caribbean, Near East and North Africa and North America. And maybe over the years, we'll get these more color coded with more countries involved in the program in years to come. So what does Globe do, or how does Globe operate? We like to use the term protocols, and you'll hear that a lot within the context of the Globe community and what it does. We have instructions and guides and educational resources around different spheres, Earth system spheres, as we call them: the hydrosphere, the biosphere, the pedosphere, which is for soils, atmosphere, and then we also have what we call this Earth as a System bundles, where they bring different measurements from these different four spheres that I've said into different thematic research topics. So within each of these spheres, the hydrosphere as an example, there are different types of measurements that students and citizen scientists can collect. And looking at the hydrosphere, there's all sorts of water quality measurements that people can collect. And in biosphere, the same: land cover, tree height, and others. Soils, there's soils, pH, soil moisture, temperature, other measurements, lots of different types of ways of different collecting information about the environment at a particular locality. And this is becoming part of this global database that, as I said, there's over 260 million data observations there. Atmosphere, and I believe Marale gave a talk probably about clouds that she has been working on and contributes greatly, and that's through the Globe Observer. But there's other types of atmosphere measurements that can be collected by different students and adults alike. And then we have, as we say, these Earth system thematic bundles, looking at like agriculture, air quality, mosquitoes, spread of mosquito disease, and so on. So how it then functions is that the Globe participants use these Globe protocols. They collect data and conduct analysis. So that could be through the Globe Observer or through other means where they use equipment, instruments to collect information about water quality, for instance, and collect the data on data sheets and then submit it through potentially the Globe website. There's different ways that people can share data to become part of the Globe website. The data are uploaded, become part of the Globe database. As I said, and we'll get, if this is not familiar to you, with the Globe Observer, with the different types of protocols that you can use, we'll go through that. The data then can be downloaded and analyzed. There's visualization tools on the Globe website that you can look at data where it's been collected around the world and what values are at these different locations, or you can take a particular site and see how that measurement may have changed over time. So that's looking at the data in terms of collection, submission, and then using the data. And then we also have opportunities that we offer for people, students, or K through and undergraduate students as well, to participate in what we call an international virtual science symposium. We hold these each year. And in fact, we just finished up the 2025 student symposium. That was the deadline was March 5th, 2 days ago. I haven't got the total tallies up to date, but I think we broke our record as the number of student submissions. So we're very excited, and we have a network of judges, international judges around who will now be reviewing these student submissions, these student research, and then providing feedback to the students on their work. So we're really excited and to see what the students have done. So yes, I see hearts. Yes, lots of big hearts and lots of big claps as to what these students have done. And most of all, we want to have fun. You know, this is not drudgery. This is meant to have fun with learning about the environment, conducting science, sharing science, and just making it a fun process as we work together, learn from each other, and help to better understand our Earth and help to make it a better place to live. We also have what we call different field campaigns and intensive observation periods, IOPs for short. We have one, well, let me just backstep. These can be run through the Globe Implementation Office, where I'm part of, or these can be run through our partners within the United States, partners in other countries who may have a particular type of research or particular type of observations that they would like to have collected over a period of time. So right now, since we are in our 30 years of Globe, we have this 30 years of Globe campaign for people to go out, collect more data, as well as look at the data that has been collected over the years at your locality or elsewhere. How has it changed? So looking at the past, looking at and comparing that with the present. So that's currently ongoing right now. We just finished up what we call a IOP. This is run by different scientists. In this particular one, it's dealing with snow view, collecting globe photos of snow, using the Globe app. And again, we'll go through that. And so that just finished up through the month of February. We're looking at the data that were collected for that. And we're hoping to maybe run this in 6 months' time, since this observation now in February is targeting more the northern hemisphere where we're in our winter, and then in 6 months it will be targeting more of the southern hemisphere when they're in their winter and we're in our summer. But some of the other ones that are happening right now in these field campaigns are intensive observation periods, looking at urban heat island, trees around the globe, and we have another one that's dealing with Globe Mission Mosquito and collecting information about mosquito habitat. So with all of this, again, I keep coming back to the 260 million data points. We're very proud of that. The data is promoting student research, student achievement in the STEM disciplines. It's also advancing Earth system science. In the data, the citizen science or the student data that are being collected can then be used for a variety of different types of science research to, again, advance our understanding of our Earth. And looking at, for example, in a few of these screenshots of different applications, looking at change in geospatial patterns of river ice, cover and navigability in South Central Alaska, the Global Mosquito Alert Consortium, working with different citizen science organizations, collecting mosquito data and bringing these together so that they can have a better understanding of how different species of mosquito may be spreading, and how we might then uh, mitigate any potential spreads of diseases. And then also looking at another MODIS snow product. So looking at that relationship between the students, citizen scientists, and professional scientists and educators all working together to, again, better help understand our Earth's system and help students achieve better skills in the STEM disciplines. Okay. So I've been talking to you for a few minutes, or maybe more than a few minutes. So I'm now going to go through, switch to the Globe website, and I'm going to show you a bit about how the Globe website is structured. And then I'm going to give you a quiz of sorts. I'm hoping that maybe that's why open up your browser for the www.globe.gov, and I'm going to ask you to do a little on your own so that you can get a feeling for how to use and navigate the Globe website. So just to give you a brief layout of how the website is structured, it's huge and there's a lot of information out there. And so for someone new to using the Globe website, it can be a bit daunting. And this is, uh, just that's the nature of the beast, if you want, so to speak. So this is the globe.gov, and it'll take you to a landing page. So now I am going to go to the actual landing page, and you should see that now, right? This now I'm interactive with it, with the Globe home page here. And what I want to show you is, okay, so this is the Globe homepage. It has this rotating different events that are being shown. And then there's these different toolbars if you want. And you can click on each of these, and then it will come up with a menu, a list of different things that you can click on in order to learn about Globe or learn about impact and metrics, all sorts of information that leads you to something else. So depending on what your information, depending on what you're looking for in the Globe. If you're new to Globe, this is a good start to look at the overview of the program. Where I'm located, it is at the Globe Implementation Office. You can learn about who is in the Globe Implementation Office and what we are doing. So that's this is what's about in the about and join. Training, another one, clicking on that. There's all sorts of tutorials about the program. We do have a process to become certified, as we say, in Globe as a Globe educator, and you can learn about that and what you need to do. As using the Globe Observer, you don't have to have any certification in that regard. You just need to download the app, create an account, and you are ready to go with the types of observations that can be made available through the app. To become what they call Globe certified, then, and interacting with the website like this with materials, you do need to be certified to be trained in one or more of the Globe protocols. And then that will enable you to do access additional resources. It will enable you to submit the data that you collect. So there's reasons, or there's more applications or resources you can participate in, or events that you can participate in if you become Globe trained. And you will then, through the Globe website, you will then sign in. You have an account, and then you would sign in and participate or do the training. So with the training and learning about that, citizen science, all of this is, you would go through here. And if you want to learn more about the e-training process, you can go to this site and then become familiarized it. And you can always ask questions. We have a Globe help desk, or reach out to find out more about the Globe, or if something's not clear to you. So you can always contact us if you have any questions or confused about something. Then in this one, in the Do Globe, this is where you get all of these different protocols, and it also talks about the app, the Globe Observer app, different types of publication, all sorts of resources. We call learning activities. We have elementary Globe books. Materials been translated into other languages, in particular, such as Spanish. And then you can learn about the different campaigns or the intensive observation periods I talked about, how we're connecting, what collaborating satellite missions could be connected with Globe, and more. And then the Globe data, there's how you enter the data, submit, there's information about the data, if you have any questions about that, how to visualize, create maps and graphs within the Globe website, how to retrieve data, and then we also have an API that you can write or use existing what we call the Jupyter notebooks to submit and access data. And then we have also a science role. And then there's a community. We have our Globe International STEM Network, GISN, all sorts of different working groups, partners throughout the United States, partner countries, who's participating in the Globe, and other types of partnerships that we might have. And then there's blogs, find collaborators, and community profiles, so all sorts of things. And then lastly, looking at the news and events, we have a monthly newsletter that comes out. We share stars and stories about different people or different groups and what's going on around the world. We have meetings. We have the annual meeting. This is scheduled to take place in July of this year. International Virtual Science Symposium, which I talked about, and those are virtual. And like I say, we just finished up one. We'll start another one sometime over the next few months for 2026 to be submitted. And we have every few years we have what we call Globe Learning Expeditions. These are student expeditions. That was interrupted because of COVID, and we are in discussion about when or the next one would take place, and so on. So I'm going to go back now to my other slide presentation here, and let me, whoops, why is it going back here? Close that. Might have to go back there. And then I bring this up. Sorry here. Having a little challenge here with my sharing things on my screen. Why is that not doing that? Hold on. There we go. So now I want to make that big again. So now, this is a workshop. I'm not meant to talk with you the whole time. I have a little exercise for you that I'm hoping that you can then do. Is I have a couple of questions here. I'm going to give you maybe 5 minutes or so, and I'll leave this up for you to look at. And here's these 4 questions I'm asking you for the Globe website. What's the URL for e-training? How many Globe schools are in Oman? How do you collect the Globe? How do you get the Globe protocol directions for collecting water temperature? How many student reports have been submitted from Nigeria? So now that you've gotten the kind of schema, if you want, of how the Globe website is structured, I'm going to let you then get practice using it and answering these few questions. And now I'm going to look at the chat here to see if I have any questions I should answer while you're doing that. And let me I'll check back in 5 minutes and see how you're doing. Yeah, let me see these questions if you're. One thing I'll do right here. What's this? Oops. How about I give you 2 more minutes? And if you have any questions, um, please, please put them in the chat. I am getting great. I'm seeing, I haven't had any, and Mile Parker, if you see them, I haven't seen any answers yet for this Nigeria student. So maybe Nigeria submission. So we'll wait in that one. Uh, ah, gotcha, Brennan. Okay, let's reconvene here, and I'll go through and this presentation, I believe, will be made available or can be made available if you want more practice or any of the information that is included here. So why is that not going? So this is what, and some of these are short URLs. So for the URL for the training, you go to that pull down for training, and then you can find out where you to in one of those lists, you can go and get the e-training. Now, when I did this, and it could have changed since I did this, I got 106 schools in Oman. And to get the protocols, you have to go to the resources there, and that would get you, and then you go to, for water temperature, you would go under the hydrosphere, and then there will be a list of measurements that you can use or select from, one of which is water temperature. And then in the student projects, you have to go for the resources here, and pull up the IVSS projects, and then there are different ways that you can select the different types of research projects, and one being from a country, or it could be a topic. There are other what they call filters, and you all might are probably aware or use the term filters. Some people don't understand I'm using a filter in how to select uh, those projects within a larger group of projects. So, okay, someone found 106. Okay, great, awesome. So this is great. So you have the basic feeling of the website, what types of resources there, how to use it. So this is just giving you a sampling of it, and you can go and spend more time on it on your own. So, okay, let's let's get the beginnings of the Globe Observer. So with this one, installing the app, and then you have to create um, an account through your email. And then once you get it installed on your mobile device, you should have a screen similar to this that says data entry, clouds, mosquito, land cover, and trees. And then you have these icons at the bottom that link you to other information. So if you are open the account that you open the app that you have, make sure that you've created an account with your email address. It should look like this. Now we're going to have some time, just like with the Globe, the website, that you can explore the Globe Observer right now, and we can come back to this later if we have time. So here's some questions that I'm asking you now to get some hands-on experience to find the answers to and share with your chat. How do I get help? How do I manage my account? What kind of observations do you collect with the Mosquito Habitat Mapper? Which protocol gives you badges? Which protocol allows you to connect your observation with a NASA mission flyover in near real time? So let's let you go at those now. You've now mastered the Globe website. Now you're going to master the Globe Observer app. So I'll give you 5 minutes and then we'll check in and see how you're doing and if you need more time. So some of you are, the app doesn't allow me to create an account. Are you a student or are you, okay, let me just ask. I'll talk to Gloria. A student. Okay. So with a student, okay, because you are a young person, you might talk to your teacher and see if the instructor, your educator, your teacher might be able to work with you to have a school account so that you can use the Globe Observer. But being a youth, a young person, there are some limitations. So for those of you who are students who might not be able to access the app or download, install the app, play around with the Globe website a bit more. people getting being able to access the Globe Observer app and getting it installed and being able to move around in it. Impossible to read the little white messages. Julia, I'm not sure, little white messages on the app itself here or on the webinar? No globe. Okay. No, I'm not sure that's I'm opening it up on my and see what you might be talking about. Messages. Hmm. I'm not sure how to help you, Julia. It's not happening with me. You might need to send an inquiry to the Globe Help Desk about not being able to read the messages because I'm not quite sure what the problem might be. Oh, in the WebEx. Okay. Oh, you mean in the chat? Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Seems to create a screen name, but what doesn't let me type one. Okay. Yeah. Has anyone been able to install and explore around, create an account and explore? Okay, so some of you have. Okay, some of you have, but there's others that are having some problems. Okay, we'll have to troubleshoot there. If you create a screen name but doesn't let me type one. I'll give it another minute or two, and some of you are having some problems. We'll come back to the app later on. So if those for those of you who are, and fortunately there are some who have, continue exploring, and we'll move on in a minute or two. Oh, absolutely. When using the term citizen scientist, and there are different names. Some people prefer being called a participatory scientist, or we can say you're a globe observer. Um, that is someone who wants to participate in some sort of scientific endeavor, and such as what we're showing you here with Globe. So you become a citizen scientist, and that's how we use the name. The clouds is a favorite one. Yes, that could be yes, that may be. It's been a while since I created one, Rob. Gotcha. Thank you for Rob for chipping in. It's been a while since I've done that. So why don't we move on, and we can come back, time permitting, and I think we'll have some time at the end to come back to the Globe Observer, and maybe even actually, if you are in a place that you can go outside and do some sort of practice it with with the options that they have there. So let us move on here. So this, just to show you, when you with the Globe Observer, at the bottom, there are those icons shown up here in the upper left corner. And so information is questions or more information about the program. The settings gets into your personal information that you can access as well. Here, let me just pull up here. If you want to create a new account or log in with a different account, and other setting options are in the settings, that wheel, cogwheel, and then information. And this goes to your home in the far left, and this other graph-like, it gives you about the data that you have submitted. If you click on any one of those items that for clouds, mosquito, land cover, or trees, there will be new page that comes up. And if you go through them, in terms of the mosquito habitat mapper, there's instructions that guide you through with what you can do. And you can actually go into an expert mode after you've feel comfortable with the types of observations that you're collecting. So for the mosquito habitat mapper, there are different types of data you can collect, and you can collect one or all of the above, all four types. So you can identify a potential habitat, and it gives you instructions about how to do that and select what type of habitat it is. And if you've had enough, that's enough. You submit the data, and that's it. You can also then, if you see mosquito larvae, and in this one it's looking at mosquito larvae, you can take a sample and use a device to put on your phone to take that magnifies and sample and count or estimate the count of the larvae in the sample site that you've identified. And a sample site could be a container of water, it could be a puddle, it could be a pond, it could be a wetland. There's many different ways of natural and human-made ways, places in which water collects and mosquitoes, female mosquitoes can lay the eggs, and the early life stages of the mosquitoes are in the water before they become adults and then bite, and the cycle begins again. You can identify the larva type, and that's where you're going to need some sort of magnification. There are devices, little clip-on things to your phone that you can use and then take photos of the mosquito. It's very cool. If you haven't zoomed in on these little creatures, it's quite fun to do. And then we ask you if it is a type of habitat, mosquito habitat, that can be dumped out, such as a discarded water bottle that's collected water. We'll ask you to mitigate it, empty out the water. And you can't obviously empty out a pond, but where you can eliminate where the mosquitoes can lay their eggs and where they can ultimately grow up to being an adult mosquito. So that's looking at just the mosquito habitat mapper. In the land cover, the one shown in the middle, there's different badges that you can get. And then with the globe clouds, it's great. And I'm sure that Marley, I guess yesterday when she talked, she probably went into a lot much more depth about what they're doing with the clouds. And there's an opportunity for you to connect your observations with a satellite, a flyover, and that's very cool. And you'll get some feedback on what you've done and how it's connected to the satellite. So, okay, here's this. I'm not revealed, and you all know too much. And Noemi says that have went on to contribute more as a full-time scientist at Globe. I don't know if there's a citizen scientist who become well, when you say a full-time scientist at Globe, we work through scientists located at different institutions who work with Globe. We have the Globe Implementation Office, and then there is a network of scientists who might be working on different NASA satellite missions, or be working with different institution higher education, universities, for example, in different countries. So I don't know if I don't know the answer that if they've become a citizen science and then become a scientist, but in a professional capacity, if you want, working at a university for argument's sake. Okay. Okay. I want to do some brief closing remarks that we moved. Oh, okay. Yes. So, okay. I will move on. So that gives you exposure to the Globe app, and I'll move on from here. So what I want to go through, show you next is how do you access this Globe data that have been submitted with the 260 million data points, and what the exercise, and Parker's going to give you the instructions for what I'm going to show you for a tutorial or an exercise that you can use to learn how to use this advanced data access tool. So And there's also the Globe API, and there's some Jupyter notebooks that you can use to access data. So, but using the advanced data access tool, so this allows you to do searches, create filters from data from multiple protocols, schools, regions, or dates without using the map. Used for large quantities of data. You can download huge millions if you want. The more data, the longer it takes to search down, and you retrieve it at the website. And there are 3 steps. There's selecting the protocols you're interested in, selecting the filters such as date, country, school, teachers. Then there's also, and then you download it. And what you will, and it may take a while, depending on the size of the data set that you've asked for, and it will give you a CVS text file that you can then bring into another program, such as a spreadsheet program, Excel, for example, or everything has the coordinates associated, the geographic coordinates, latitude and longitude. You can then bring it into another type of software, such as a geographic information system, GIS, QGIS, or ArcGIS. So it's ready to be used and integrated with other data sets and do all sorts of analysis that you might want to do. So this is what the interface looks like when you go into this ADAT, Advanced Data Access Tool. And these are the types of filters that you could be using to access the data. Selecting a data range, selecting what protocol that you're looking for. Could be the Globe Observer data that you've put, mosquitoes, or cloud information, all sorts of things. And then you can narrow it down more in terms of if you know a particular site that you're after, a particular country that you're looking for the data, or is it close to a water body such as a lake. And then you apply those filters, and then you ask to download the data. And then this will then give you a CVS text file that you can open up and shown as an example here. In this particular example, there's 4,100 data points that were selected, and then you can get a table of data that you can then work with in another program. So it's not too, and there's tutorials, there's videos that show you how to do this with instructions, step-by-step instructions, lots of resources on the Globe website on how to do this. So what I was going to ask you to do, if we have time, like 21 past the hour. So I'll just go through this to you and I'll leave you with some homework if you want. And let me put the link in the spreadsheet. Hold on here for a sec. In the chat, let me give you the link in the chat. And also I think Miles or Parker will give you that. Oh, you got it. Oh, thanks, Parker. I got it. He's ahead of me. So this is a great little exercise that one of our colleagues put this over here so I can read it more. Go here. Hold on here. I've got too many windows open up here and it's interfering with different things. Looking at hurricane weather. So in this exercise here, two hurricanes hit the state of Florida in the United States. And I think this was in 2022. I'm not quite sure. I can't remember the date off the top of my head. And so you're going to get data related to that. And it goes through with you step-by-step instructions on how to set the filters, use the filters, and finds that you can use you get you get a zipped file with that extracts to a CSV file, and so it goes through and shows you how to download. I'm just quickly going through, so don't expect here how to do this, and then you'll see what types of charts, and this is looking at no, what is this one? Is this looking at pressure? oh, this is looking at temperature data. And you can create all sorts of graphs and maps and tables in the using the data that you have downloaded. There's a lot that you can do on the Globe visualization, but it's not a spreadsheet program, or it's not a statistical package, or a GIS for that matter. So by taking the data, you can integrate it with other data sets. You can do analysis on the data itself. You can do all sorts of things with it. So this is the exercise that, and you can just go to that bit.ly short URL that will take you to this exercise. It's a fun little exercise to do, and you learn how to access the data. So I think, Miles, am I right? You want to stop at 25 after the hour, which we're coming up in a few. Okay, so, and let me, the last thing then, okay, so is what I wanted to ask you, if you have, now that you're familiar with Globe, and you don't have to answer it now, but if we were to do another Space App challenge for this year later on, please share your ideas at what you think might be a good idea for us with Globe to make science fun, to make science accessible, integrate with other data sets, or whatever it might be. We had a great time with the Globe Games, but it would be, we could do more. So I think I'm running up to the time that Parker, so if you have any questions for me, I'm here to ask now, answer now, or if you can always get in touch with me later. So over to you, Parker.
Broker, thank you so much for this incredible workshop. We're so grateful that we got this opportunity to have hands-on access to this NASA data and this Globe Observer tool, which we're excited to start to play with. I'm gonna go outside and look at some clouds as soon as this is over.
Yeah,
Um,
that's good.
folks,
There's too much to cover. I'm only giving you a tasting that you go forth.
that's
So
perfect.
thank
You
you.
scratch the surface, and you've given us the tools and resources to run and prosper on our own, and we're so grateful. These skills and resources can help us all engage with NASA's open data and respond to the challenges we face in our communities today and in the future. So there's some links that we're dropping in the chat right now from this presentation, the deck that Dr. Boger just used, as well as the visualization walkthrough, putting in the chat at this moment so folks can access. This was just such a wonderful activity and a great companion to the ArtSet workshop that we had earlier today. That will cover the Worldview app and other resources that NASA has made available to the public. As a resource, we also want to make available the presentation that Sean shared earlier, as well as a flyer for some ArtSet trainings that are coming up in the very near future. So please, at your leisure, peruse those so we can continue our learning and development. Overall, today we heard from a wide range of stakeholders who are committed to leveraging NASA. All these folks helped us look to the future of space and open science. We heard from representatives from 4 space agencies who shared their priorities and the challenges they're preparing to take on. We heard from some leaders in training who have shared their journeys to professionalization in their fields, and all of whom are creating the future of STEM at NASA every day. As we prepare to wrap up the content for today, we're so encouraged by what we've learned, but even more so by all of you, our collective community, and how you showed up to build your skills and capacities. A special thanks, with that said, to all the all-stars in our connection sessions, Myra from India, Lucia from Montenegro, Jorge from Canada, and our very own collective cohort member, Dr. Hadi, who helped us navigate conversations as far-reaching as aliens, numerology, the multiverse, and planetary autonomous systems, and more.